if there's any hail involved, you'll hear the pitter patter on the window, so I do apologise before we get going. Hey guys, welcome along to Here's Rod's Reviews, the show that loves all things entertainment and shares that love with you. I am your host, Rodney Stewart. Now, please forgive any background noise that's happening right now. There's a bit of a storm blowing right outside the house, and if the rain and wind kick in, it's coming directly at this window, so if there's any hail involved, you'll hear the pitter patter on the window, so I do apologise before we get going. We're finishing off Transformers The Ultimate Doom Part 3, and this episode is good. I really did enjoy this one. Perfect example of the Decepticons nearing winning and their plans and what they're doing, and the Autobots finally winning out in the end. And it's also a good example of just how strong the character of Megatron is. By the end of this episode, what happens to him is like, you know, that's it. Game over for him. We're close to the end of the season. This could be it for Megatron. But yes, essentially in this episode, we're still trying to rescue Sparkplug on Cybertron. At the end of the last episode, he hit the alarm, called the Decepticons, blew the whistle on the Autobots that were trying to save him, and yes, they have to escape from Shockwave and the Decepticons, which they eventually do, and they take refuge in Wheeljack's lab on Cybertron and start trying to create a way of defeating the hypnochip control that the Decepticons are using to keep the humans as their slaves. So on Earth, the Autobots, again, they're still trying to battle the elements, save everyone from natural disasters. Megatron has built a new energy collector that is basically a sea funnel. It's got these two arms pointing out in either direction, and that's going to grab the tidal waves that are coming in, and you know, that spins the generators and transfers the energy from the water through hydroelectric energy. I do believe I remember that from somewhere. Yes, so he's got a starship sitting there connected up to this whole thing, just waiting for this tidal wave to hit. There is a couple of little confrontations between him and Starscream in this episode. As the tidal waves are forming, Megatron realizes that there's a generator not hooked up yet, and he commands Starscream to get it fixed, get it connected before the waves start to hit. Starscream's like, no way, like, I'm not doing it. Your plan is completely unmanageable, it's unworkable, just, you know, catch yourself on, sort of thing. But Megatron lifts the generator, throws it at him, get that connected. Starscream and Dr. Archival are having a little bit of a back and forth previous to this, and Megatron sees this and he warns Archival to keep away from Starscream, to which Archival kind of thinks to himself, you know, maybe Starscream is the ally that I've been needing here. So Starscream fixes the generators, the first wave comes in, generators start pumping the energy into the starship, everything's going according to plan. The Autobots, Optimus Prime, Jazz, Ironhide, Prowl, at this stage they're coming in on the waves to attack Megatron on giant surfboards. Yeah, crazy stuff. just knowing the Transformers, I think there's probably a better way for the Autobots to get there, but you know, it's, you know, surf's up. So, yes, Argaville, he's freaking out with Megatron. He's like, you know, my slaves are going to get killed whenever these massive tidal waves come in. And Megatron's just like centered on his objective. He doesn't care what happens to them. As the Autobots approach, they realize at the last moment, like, you know, we can't get out of this, like, brace for impact, and the wave blasts them into this energy collector, this sea funnel. Place is absolutely destroyed. Megatron at this point skips into his starship, takes off, leaves the Autobots and Dr. Argaville behind, as well as the slaves that are in the structure. Everything's destroyed at this point. The Autobots can't chase down Megatron. They need to rescue. Everyone's in danger here as far as human life goes. Argaville, he's hanging off like a beam, and he's screaming, Megatron, come back, come back. At which point Starscream comes up out of the water behind him, and he's like, Megatron, there's got no more use for you, but I have. He jumps up into the air, flies off, transforms, deposits Argaville onto the cockpit, and that's it. You don't see them. Wait, no, sorry, you do see them once more before the episode's out, sorry. Skip forward slightly, Megatron's on an island with the Soundwave and Thundercracker, Skywarp, some of the Decepticons, the starships there. They've got humans loading energon cubes into it. Megatron's like, this is the last delivery we need to take to Cybertron, and the whole galaxy is going to be ours. And the Autobots manage to turn up on the island after. Sorry, I did skip over a slight part of the episode. Back on Cybertron, the Autobots successfully managed to find a way to disrupt the Hypnochip and save Sparkplug from the Decepticons. That's very cool. I'm not getting into any detail there. There's a lot of fights, a lot of battles that happen there as well, and it's worth checking out this episode. Like, I'm spoiling the crap out of it for you, but you know, if I told you every last detail, there'd be no point in you watching the episode, so just bear with me. I don't know how the heck I skipped over that there. I think it's because I realised how the Autobots actually get to the island. Skyfire, of course, he's on Cybertron rescuing Sparkplug with the small group of Autobots there. Once that's done, he transforms, flies from Cybertron to Earth, and yes, we get into the battle on the island, at which point, you know, there's still slaves loading energon cubes for Megatron, but whenever Skyfire and Wheeljack and everybody turn up on the scene, they have their little device to break the Hypnochip control, which they do. The slaves start to run, at which point the Autobots, they're no longer held back from the fear of hurting human life, and the battle begins again. And at the end of the episode, as Megatron and Optimus Prime are about to face off, Megatron's like, you've got bigger problems on your plate than me, Prime. This next rotation or orbit of Cybertron's going to destroy the Earth, as well as all these tidal waves and stuff. Prime's like, it's your problem too, Megatron. He's like, I'm not going to be here, I'm going to be on Cybertron. He boards the starship, launches, and leaves the Autobots on the ground. Prime Kennedy just drops his gun, and he's like, it's over, more or less. Spike down there, and we need to stop Megatron. He kind of like angles Optimus Prime's gun up, which is kind of physically impossible. Like, I'm looking at this for an adult's eyes as well. Like, come on here, guys. I'm 40 years old, but I love these cartoons. Spike angles Prime's gun up in the air, fires Megatron's ship, at which point Prime is like, that's it. We need an explosion, a certain size of an explosion to get Cybertron out of Earth's orbit. I do believe it was Prowl come up with that idea, and Prime's like, you know, blow up the energon cubes in Megatron's starship. So the Autobots combine their firepower at Megatron's starship, blow the energon cubes that are in the storage bay on it, and the explosion is big enough to blow. Now think about this. The Transformers' home planet of Cybertron is in Earth's atmosphere, and it's like the gravity of that is causing all these natural disasters that are threatening to destroy the entire planet. The explosion of Megatron's starship, with him on it, is enough to blow the planet right out of the atmosphere and send it away off, which is, you know, these old cartoons, like the sorts of things that they do, and you kind of think to yourself, you're not thinking this through, because how does eventually in later seasons we get the Cybertron again, and it's orbiting wherever the heck it's usually at, you know, it's a normal part in space. But the explosion that blows it out of Earth's atmosphere should be like Space 1999, like just it travels off and keeps going. But I digress. Cybertron's gone. Earth's saved. The tidal waves settle down. Everything's fine and well. And like Spike's like, that's a great day's work. Optimus Prime, they saved the planet. Cybertron's gone. The slaves are free. And Megatron's done for, and Prime's like, I could really wish that was true. And we kind of cut a shot in space, and you see all this wreckage of Megatron's ship floating about, and he's in the centre of it. And he kind of like wakes up, and he's like, I will be avenged, and then he flies off. So like, Megatron can survive a heck of a lot, and an explosion big enough to blow a planet out of our planet's atmosphere. Megatron walks out of it with a few scrapes and scratches. Yes, it is a cartoon at the end of the day, but it's just demonstrates how insanely strong the character of Megatron is. And that's an example I'm going to come back to whenever we do eventually, way down the line, see the demise that Galvatron gets. And spoilers, if you didn't know, Megatron becomes Galvatron. And in the Takara series, they finish him off, and it's just like, whenever you go back and you look at this sort of thing, you're like, yeah, I don't believe you. Guys, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please hit that subscription button, and don't forget to press that bell icon to be notified of future uploads. Please get into the description box below this video and check out my social media links down there. Check out all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next video.